Hi, I'm Loriana Harrison with DLP Marketing, and I've got Steve Ryder of the Builder Trade-In Program here with me today. And we're really excited to talk about digital. Isn't that, it's the buzzword, Facebook, Instagram, Google. It's what everybody wants to know about, and then there's that reputation management side of it.
That's kind of a new one that's been coming up lately.
It really is. It really is. We went to the Tony Robbins Gary V event back in November, and they talk a lot about putting great content out there, and it's so important for businesses. And we do so much of that. And then there's the lead generation side. But one thing that a lot of builders throughout 2018, I have never seen quite as many builders coming to us and asking about the reputation management. Hey, we got a bad review on Google, or we got some negative Facebook comments, Instagram comments. What do we do?
Well, it's interesting because we really have a couple things going on. Number one, we have a frustrating construction time, right? Way back when, it would be 3 to 4 months max. Then it got as long as 12 months. Now we're back to an average of 5 to 6, but the quality has been affected. So sometimes it's how long does it take? Sometimes it's the finished product. And the other thing that's happened, as you well know, is everything is a review. Right? You're going to watch a trailer before you watch a movie.
Right.
You're going to look at the review and see if it got 5 stars before you even watch the trailer.
It's so true. And we do that as consumers on Amazon every day, right?
That's our new world.
It is.
And we feel that we have our right or our obligation to let someone know if we feel we've been wrong. And that's where you step in.
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting that you bring up construction cycle, because I think that impacts every single builder.
Everything.
Every single builder. And then we've got families trying to plan schools, those types of things. And even just packing up, right? You want to know those things. So when bad reviews, and let's address first comments.
What do you do?
Yes.
Do you run from them? Do you address them?
Yeah.
Is there a strategy?
Absolutely. And we work really hard, on that strategy, because when the comments come to Facebook or Instagram, to us, that is a very manageable process. We absolutely respond immediately. That's really important. And you have to be informed. So oftentimes what we'll do is we'll take a little snippet of what we received, talk to our point person at the builder, depending on what level it is, and then we will already draft a response, get their blessing, and send it right back out. But that timeline has got to be short, because things can escalate. And what we've really found is that oftentimes those, and let's just say maybe they're buyers, right?
Right.
Okay, so the buyer, the lead time got, delayed, unforeseeable. That's just what happens.
Weather, there's all kinds of things that can come into play.
Yes, and oftentimes that person just wants to be heard. They want to feel like that their needs have been addressed. And so that's one of the most important things, is that we respond immediately and you've got the right information.
Correct.
And then sometimes things can escalate a little bit further than that. So if that happens and they do actually go to post a review, what we know for sure that we have to do is we have to go actively after the happy home buyers. And it's so important to get those reviews to counteract those negative reviews. So if you get the 1 star, then you're saying, hey, I want at least 2 5 stars to get us back to the 3 or above.
Because there's a mathematical equation
Yes.
that is really, truly 1 bad, a 1 star, a 5 star.
Yes.
And now you're at 3, get another 5, you're at 4, and you want to do that to maintain the momentum.
Yes, and that's really what it is the balancing. And just going back to Facebook and Instagram, if people are commenting, I do not believe typically, and we always have a strategy and we put that strategy into place, but we do not want to delete comments. Like, if something
Right.
bad comes, and sometimes we'll get hey, do we need to delete this immediately? And our view is there's always issues. There's humans that work.
Right, it's still
For
a
the builder.
man-made product made by
Right?
hand.
Yes, it's
Like
not
the only thing in the world left that we still make by hand.
exactly. It is not a widget made in a foreign country and shipped over here. Though maybe someday we're getting to that with tiny houses and kind of the
That'll
all of-
have to be another interview. Trust me, that could take a while.
Yes, absolutely. But we want to make sure that people understand, and I believe that it's that opportunity to change people's minds. And I really, truly, in 2018, I think we had more conversations about reputation with the builders as to what we should and shouldn't do. And so deleting comments, in my opinion, is typically not something that we want to do. We want to address head on what those comments are. And furthermore, if that person doesn't feel heard and they see that it was deleted,
Oh, it can really add fuel to the fire.
it does. It absolutely does.
Well, there's another thing that I know that happens that adds to the frustration, and again, it's just part of the process. And for the consumer that may be listening to this, I'll know, like, if a framing issue comes up, and the consumer brings it to the superintendent recognizes it, but they've got to get the framing crew back out, and that could take 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even a month. And so the consumer sees this issue and keeps seeing, he feels it hasn't been addressed.
Right.
So many cases, that's the case, right? Many times it's just a timing issue. They want to be heard, and they want to know there's a resolution to come.
Yes. And the communication. I mean,
Absolutely.
I think sometimes it's just simply the communication, and that's where it's so easy, but then sometimes it gets so overlooked because people get busy, and we totally understand that. And that's why buyers will potentially go to those other platforms to be heard.
Correct.
And the main thing that we want to do is hopefully we're able to mitigate anything so that they're not putting a Google review out there. That's really where we don't want them to go.
So there's Google reviews, or there's Zillow review. What are
Oh,
they?
yeah.
Tell me about Yelp, some of these other things. What are what's
Yeah.
the review process,
So-
or who are the entities?
Absolutely. We don't happen to see Yelp quite as often in our
In
industry.
the home building, right? Maybe
Yes.
for a bad taco.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly it. And
Okay.
so, fortunately, that doesn't seem to be a really popular, platform that we need to watch. But we absolutely, Zillow, I don't know how many necessarily reviews are happening for builders on Zillow, Trulia, and Realtor.com.
Okay.
We don't see a ton of that, but Google and Facebook really truly end up being the biggest ones. And like we said, it's kind of just that escalation process if it's not dealt with. But I think that we sometimes really just have, in the strategies and what we're explaining with builders, is let's put on our consumer hat and how would we want something dealt with.
Correct.
From the communication side. And you can take somebody, a VP or a president of another company, and they're the buyer in this situation, and we want to be coddled through the entire process, right? I mean, it's our home, it's our baby. And so that sometimes is just, hey, let's take off our other hat for a moment. Let's put on our consumer hat and really think about what we would want in that situation to remedy. And sometimes it's as simple as, really truthfully, we'll say, hey, we are so sorry that you had a less than exceptional experience. We would love to take you to coffee or to lunch, and we want to find out more. Please give us feedback so that we can make our processes better.
Absolutely.
That puts a halt on everything. It's incredible the power of asking to see somebody face to face
Right.
to remedy that. So that's what we've seen mostly with reputation management. And I'm kind of pointing out some things that are just newer in our industry, but truthfully, Facebook and Instagram and Google are our big friends and allies in this industry for getting the word out about our product.
So I would say, no builder is infallible, right?
Right.
So it doesn't matter if the builder builds the home and there was a situation in Denver that the pipes were not done correctly and a house blew up.
Ouch.
Now that's horrible. Fortunately, there were no fatalities, but that is a direct reflection on the builder, but it may not necessarily even be their issue. So
There's trades involved.
Right, there's trades involved. And so the one thing that I do think that people need to understand is the builder has a reputation. They want to protect that reputation, and they have a warranty, like you mentioned before, and they will fix it.
Yes.
So through communication first, immediate communication, and then constant communication, and then remedy the issue, and maybe then find out what else you could do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny when you're talking about that. I was thinking about my days back at Shea Homes in San Diego. And, you know, back then, J.D. Powers, that was a big deal. You know, back then we did marketing and it consisted of, you know, newspaper buys. And I think maybe we'd start to.
You have your little plaque. You know,
Oh, yeah.
How many J.D. Power and
Yes.
Associate Awards did you get?
It was such a big deal. And so I think that really that reputation part just of the builder and explaining kind of the builder story and what
I was just going to ask that. It is still important to show your pillars of strength and your story. I think so.
Absolutely, because every single builder has a unique value that they bring to the consumer, and so we definitely want that to be in the forefront of the mind of the consumer, as well as those you know, brand pillars or the value proposition and what that means. We were just talking with a builder the other day, and they're like, we don't tout our builder story, and in fact we don't really have a recent builder story to tell anybody about. And they're a long time builder, at least here in Arizona. And there's so much greatness and goodness that they bring to the table with quality, etc. And I think getting that story out there is such a big deal to, you're not just purchasing a home, but there's this whole legacy essentially that goes with that.
Correct. And there's, I've seen you guys do such amazing things with marketing and advertising, and when you put a compelling message from a homeowner and you start talking legacy and family and values and how they've grown up, that just really gives you that sense of environment and that sense of community. And to have a homeowner tout how much they love their community is, I think it's invaluable.
It is the neatest thing. Just a side note, we were at one of our builder events, I don't know, several months ago, and unbeknownst to us, one of the people that were there helping serve and you know, do the catering just gives us this gushing testimonial about the builder and that they actually live in one of the other communities for that builder. And I mean, it gives me the goosebumps, like even just thinking about it right now, what that home means to them, because we're talking about their life, their absolute life. And I was like, I needed to have my phone on.
I was just going to say,
that?
grab my phone. That's a true marketer. Absolutely.
Could you repeat that, please? It was so neat, and it was so much fun to go back to the builder and tell them about this impromptu review and testimony. And sometimes I really think it just simply comes down to asking, right? There are so many happy buyers in the community.
Absolutely.
We need to ask them.
You mentioned that, and last, about a year and a half ago, and we'll finish up with this, at the Builder Trade-In, we started with a concierge. So to not only be able to sell someone's home, because that's important, but what is the concierge experience like for the person that buys a new home, that has to pick their upgrades? You watch it be chalked, and then you watch it get trenched, and then you have the sticks, and there's sometimes that the house looks smaller. Right? And so you need to guide them through that process, and in the end, if you just ask, they will give you a glowing testimonial.
Absolutely.
So that's probably the one thing that if I ever could give anyone a suggestion, ask for the testimonial.
Wonderful. And does the concierge help with that?
Yes, that's exactly what they do.
Okay, that's a really big deal because I think people sometimes, like we've talked about, you get busy with the next project, and so I would say utilize the concierge. What what does that entail for them to be able to use the concierge to?
As long as you're using our builder trade-in program, we have a concierge assigned to you from the minute you purchase your new home all the way through to the end. They do the walkthrough with you, give you an extra set of eyes, actually tape and video the superintendent doing the walkthrough, so you have a video testimonial.
How to use things?
How to use certain things, because you're like, yeah, I know how to do the water heater, and then, 2 days later, what'd they say?
Oh, yeah.
So these are just extra support systems that we have in place because we know, A, the builder needs it, and the consumer's looking for it, and the end result is the builder gets another testimonial.
Wonderful.
And you protect the reputation.
That's a really big deal. That's on the forefront, preventative, and really just getting the word out about how great the builder is. Reach out to Steve Ryder and the Builder Trade-In Program if you are interested in finding out more about the concierge service. Reach out to DLP Marketing, myself, Loriana Harrison, if you are in a spot and you would like our help with strategy for the reputation management. We would love to help you with that. You are not alone, and it would be our pleasure to do so. Please give us feedback and comments. Thanks so much for being with us
My
today,
pleasure.
Steve. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.